In psychology, we have three main experimental designs. And by experimental designs, this means it's the way that we use our participants. How are we going to design our study once we know what we're studying, what we're going to experiment on, and we've got our participants there? So there's three different ones you need to know about for your specification. They are repeated measures, independent groups, and matched pairs. So repeated measures. We've got our participants in the corner over here. And for the purpose of this lesson, our study is going to be on the effects of alcohol on driving. So we've got two different conditions, an alcohol condition and a non-alcohol condition. Once they've been through each condition, they'll do a driving test. And we'll measure how good their driving is after each of the conditions. So in repeated measures, the participants experience both of the conditions. So they repeat both parts of the study. So if we select two people from here, they'll do the first condition, in this case the alcohol condition, and then they will repeat the second condition as well. So we're using the same people, but they're repeating or doing both of the conditions. Independent groups, on the other hand, is a little bit different. So we've got our same study, the effects of alcohol on driving, but this time we select half the participants will do condition 1, and a completely different group of participants will do condition 2. So the groups are independent of each other. Completely different people in condition 1 to completely different people in condition 2. It's not the same person or same group of people like repeated measures. In repeated measures, you had a group of people doing condition 1 and the same condition or same people doing condition 2. In independent groups, it's completely different, with one group of people doing one condition and a completely different group of people doing the second condition. Matched pairs is the third design that you need to know. And what this is now is a little bit more of a time-consuming process for a psychologist, because you're trying to match the people in condition 1 with the people in condition 2. So you might pick a few things you want to match them on. It might be IQ or gender, or in the case of ours, it might be the amount of years they've been driving for. So we're going to try and match the people in condition 1 with the people in condition 2. So we've got two groups that are very, very similar to each other. But similar to independent groups, we've got one group of people in group 1 and a different group of people doing condition 2. But because we've tried to match the groups as much as we can, we're trying to make it as though there's going to be less variables having an effect on the results. We pick that group of people, and they should be similar people in group 1 and similar in group 2. So the effect of variables and extraneous variables on our result should really be lessened. So next lesson we're going to be looking at the strengths and weaknesses of repeated measures, independent groups and matched pairs. And there's a few key terms we use when we're looking at the strengths and limitations of these experimental designs. The first one is order effects, and this is the effect of administering a treatment in a particular way. So if someone does both conditions, for example, so they do the driving test under alcohol and then under non-alcohol conditions, they may do better in the second condition simply because they've learned how to do the test, the driving test, a lot better. So it's not really effect of not alcohol that's had a positive effect. It's a learning effect. People might do worse because they're bored if they do it a second time. The second thing that we're going to be looking at is participant variables. And participant variables are these individual differences shown by the participants and how they can have an effect on certain designs and not others. And the third one is demand characteristics. And these are where somebody tries to guess the aim of an experiment. It's usually done where the person is doing both of the conditions. Because they're doing both conditions, by the time they come to the second one, they might have worked out what the actual study is about. And once you work out what a study is about, then you kind of change your behavior in order to give the experimenter what they need. And that isn't what we want in psychology. We don't want demand characteristics. So make sure you've got an understanding of what these three key terms are, and then we can go through the strengths and limitations in our next lesson.